Welcome back, everyone. Mike McConville here one more time at Stringtech. We have this other guitar of Chris's. Now, you saw that Antonio Say guitar, that Vietnamese guitar with the spectacular inlay. Well, we have a very similar situation here. I started into leveling, taking more off the top end of the fingerboard at the nut, and I thought I'd better bring you guys into the loop on this so you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And of course, there's always a danger of losing some of that inlay because we have to do quite a bit of fingerboard correction to get this guitar to play like that Antonio Say guitar does. Like that other guitar, this bridge needs to be removed and re-glued. But I had one of my viewers had asked about that other guitar, said, I still don't understand why the bridge had to come off. Well, I want to show you this before I take this off so that I'll justify exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. As you can see, when I put that feeler gauge under there, this back part of the bridge, it's not something that you pick up at a glance, but I had indicated to Chris, the customer, that this bridge is indeed lifting, and unfortunately, like that other guitar, they actually finished right over the bridge, so we've got that sort of ridge line to kind of deal with again. I'm hoping in this case I'll be able to actually save this bridge, but we'll just have to wait and see as the job moves along. This is a pretty time-consuming job. I thought the best way to capture this for you guys is to just let the camera roll. But before I get started, I just want to explain again, most of the material is coming off here. So we're actually changing the trajectory of the neck slightly so that we get a little more height on that saddle in the bridge and a little more distance from the soundboard surface to the underside of the strings to drive the soundboard. I know my buddy Scott in Nashville, Scott St. Denis, who's a fabulous guitar tech. I know, Scott, you'd mentioned about that 10-inch, but look at this thing rocking here. We got a lot of material to take off here, but we're going to start here and make our way up. I have loaded that truss rod. This will be a complete refret. Almost the identical job I did to that Antonio Say guitar. We'll just let the camera roll. And you're going to see a lot of elbow grease involved to get this transformation. Well, I'm liking what I see so far. We haven't missed too much inlay. My real concern is that the neck to body junction, because that's really got to come down. I'm stopping to kind of explain what I'm doing, how I'm doing this. You can see that I'm gradually kind of making my way up the neck, taking most of the material off this end to kind of change that trajectory a little bit and buy back a little bit of real estate from the 40 years of Canadian winters that this guitar has been through. The goal here is not to save or to lose the inlay. The goal here is to make this guitar 100% playable, silky smooth, and perfectly in tune. And there's a bunch of different factors that come into play to make that a reality. Okay, so let's continue. Well, in the final analysis, we did actually lose a little bit of inlay, and that was to be expected at that neck to body junction. Now that the fingerboard and the trajectory of the neck has been corrected, I put my pilot frets in 3rd fret and in this case 13th fret. And when I put the straight edge on here, we are completely in the driver's seat. That's exactly what we want. We'll be able to put the action on this guitar anywhere we want. And we'll get a little bit of height off of that saddle too. And because the bridge is actually coming off, it's going to be radiused and re-glued. This will give us even more real estate of saddle projecting above the top of the bridge. 2 more bridge slotting jigs and a neck surgery kit. Just on my way to drop these off at UPS. And then I'll be back to put the rest of these frets in and slip off that bridge and radius and reglue. And this guitar just came in. Dan drove in from Toronto and dropped this off. This Jackson guitar, it'll be getting a compensated nut and set up to float. Those are bare knuckles pickups in there too. Can't wait to plug this thing in. So now take a look at this neck. And there is adjustment left on that truss rod too. Now Chris will be able to choose any string he wants, any action he wants. For the first time in many decades, this guitar is 100% adjustable. We could put the action anywhere we wanted. This surface of the soundboard is untouched since I pulled the bridge off. The surface on the foot of the bridge has been radiused to a 24-foot spherical radius. I didn't chance going any further than this because the wings are so thin on this guitar. We're really going to try to cover up this original footprint as best we can. This bridge was glued on before the finish was put on the guitar. It definitely, like that last Antonio Say guitar, man, that complicates things. Doing this on a Martin guitar is a piece of cake in comparison. I'm very gently going to sand with like a 400 grit and just touch this up, warm up some glue, and glue this into place. Now, the perimeter of the bridge, of course, is a perfect match because I didn't really touch anything and I didn't have to make a new bridge. Maybe just a matter of just flooding a little bit of lacquer around the perimeter. It didn't take as much heat to get this off because it was glued on with wood glue as opposed to epoxy with that Antonio Say guitar. So we managed to actually save the finish, astoundingly, on the outside. This is Pernambuco, the wood that's used for violin bows. The inlay, everything is basically original. Astoundingly, I managed to get that off. So because it was wood glue instead of epoxy, I went with a shorter heating period of 3.5 minutes with that 250 watt bulb, as you saw, and then gradually coaxed it off with these wedges, ready to just kind of clean this up very carefully, very gently, kind of clean that surface up, heat up the wood glue, and glue this into place. We are back after letting this sit overnight. Now we'll take those clamps off and have a closer look and figure out how we're going to touch this up to make it look the best we can. Like I said, way more complicated when you put a finish on the bridge. You'd never see Martin or Gibson do that. That puck on there to clear the braces. So I did end up cutting up a bunch of future inserts because this can be substituted for Brazilian rosewood. It's a very close match in color. I like the fit that we've got in this, good press fit. Just scribe that. I will be applying some padding lacquer on that to blend it, but first we got to put this slot in the right place. While I waited for that Pernambuco insert to set, I did the math and laid out where we're going to slot. And I also made a replacement bridge plate. The original bridge plate was made of spruce. This is actually a koa bridge plate. And I know that Chris really liked the tone of this guitar, so I didn't want to add any more mass, but that original spruce plate was just splintered. While I waited for that insert to dry, I spent the next few hours getting out the old bridge plate, the glue, and all the remnants. So I will glue in this new bridge plate, but I wanted to show you the inside of the top first before I cover it up with the new bridge plate. I used koa to replace this spruce bridge plate, which had essentially disintegrated. This is the tool I used to get that bridge plate out. That is sharpened to a razor edge, and it allowed me to kind of reach in and get these leftover remnants out. The plate does not touch the X-brace. It's about 1/4 of an inch away from the X-brace on both sides. Essentially, it's like a floating pad directly underneath the bridge, and it will be good for many years to come. And that is the spruce on the underside of the top. So it did come out pretty clean. Very happy with that. No splinters of wood. We got all the remnants of the old bridge plate out. And after we slot the bridge, we'll put that new bridge plate in place. Okay, this is a 64.8 centimeter scale length. There's the distance of the theoretical line, and it requires 6.2 millimeters of extra length on the bass side, 3 millimeters on the treble side. Here's our Bosch Colt router plate duplicate indexing pin. Here's the start of the cut on the bass side, and there is the end of the cut on the treble side. So I did not adjust the cutter depth because it's going to be the same as the last cut. You can see by the footprint of the original saddle that this guitar has never been in tune since the day it was made. Finally on the home stretch with this thing. Well, that is our Pernambuco insert. Boy, I'm happy with that color match. I can barely see that myself. I know exactly where it is, and I can still barely see it. And that is our koa bridge plate. Now, I do the 2 outside holes. I do not drill the inside 4 holes until the plate is glued into place. And I will actually bolt on a backer plate so that we don't get any breakout when we do drill those middle 4. And there is the front of the bridge where it meets the top. I have drop filled that back edge. There's really nothing else I could do. We were left with that ridge all the way around, and I think I put about 4 coats so far. I'll let that set and then water sand it out in the mornings. The front side came out really good. I don't think I'm going to touch it actually. So that is our compensated cantilevered saddle. Now with this guitar, I did try a set of 11 to 52 and ended up stepping it up to 12 to 53, just a standard light gauge set. Chris can pick them up anywhere. And that is the compensated nut. Again, concert pitch, just 12 to 53 strings. So we ended up with kind of a satin finish along the edge of that fingerboard. I just patted that lacquer on, the French polish. There's no label in this guitar. Somebody logged a lot of hours into this thing.